Fear the Walking Dead Episode 5 Cobalt. Now we have this episode, and then the last episode is coming up this Sunday, and I'm really excited for it. I think this is an interesting episode leading up to the finale. It's also interesting setting up certain things for, for season 2 when we get it next year or however they end up doing this. But I enjoyed this episode because we finally got to see the true breakdown of the military and the society aspect of things and how they really just don't give a crap. We knew that was the case, especially in the last episode. That was when it was like, okay, they're just flat out shooting people. We even get a story in this episode about how at the stadium, one basically, zombie, just how it goes. Someone's bit, they turn. We did get a mention that the guy mentioned like, oh, I've never seen anyone turn so fast. That I really noted. That was very interesting because he made it seem like someone was bitten, and then it was like less than a minute later, zombie mode, and they were just bitten. They weren't just dead. They got bit and turned. So that was something I noted because that was pretty interesting. It was like that's definitely something to know, and maybe it's them kind of adding to the lore, like early zombies are different than older zombies, which is something that's in the series, even though they haven't really talked about it in like The Walking Dead. We don't get to see it because they don't show us winter in The Walking Dead. We haven't actually seen winter take place, and that's mostly because of where they shoot. They're in Atlanta, so they don't. It's like we get to see snow or anything like that, which I would love to see if they actually did that because it's in the comic books where if it's winter, like it's snowing and stuff. And, that's something they talk about all the time. It's like, oh, in the winter, it's way easier because zombies do freeze. Like, they can still move around, but some zombies do flat out freeze because they don't have enough meat to just fight through, these cold winds and stuff. And in general, zombies are just flat out slower in the winter. But, we don't really get that type of stuff in The Walking Dead. We don't get to see slower zombies and we don't see winter or how it does actually affect them. So it was cool to have that little mention where the guy's like, I've never seen people turn so fast, because it just adds a new element. Like, new zombies probably turn people faster. If someone else just turned and they bit someone, maybe it just means the virus acts way faster than it normally would, than compared to if it was a zombie that's been a zombie for a very long time. And that's why it takes, days and days. If you watch like The Walking Dead, that's why it takes so much time. And depending on how it happens, because like if you watch the stuff with like Tyrese, when he was bit like, I think, right in the neck though, so it was a little bit different compared to like, oh, he bit me in the arm. That's basically, head and heart. It's right there, so a little different. But I like that. I like getting to see the stadium at the end. I don't know why Daniel went there at all, to be totally honest. Like, that didn't seem like it could have possibly done anything to help him. I thought when he left, I thought for sure when we had that scene of him by himself, I thought he was at the facility and was going to basically get his wife back. But he's at the stadium and it's just like this full stadium of zombies, and that's where it ends. So I don't know. I highly doubt his plan is to let them out so that he can have something to distract the military and really get his family out and escape. But I guess we'll see. I don't think that's his plan, though. I hope not, because that's a really bad plan. Like, it would save a couple people, but honestly, a stadium full of zombies, you let them out, who knows how many other people you're actually getting killed, because we don't know, of course, who's out there still within the city, who hasn't already been shot by the military or turned by the zombies. So, that would just be a horrible idea. And also, I don't think he'd really be able to just take off sprinting for a long time and get away from the zombies either. So, don't think that's his plan. He just went to see firsthand, like, this is what they're doing. And he did some pretty gross stuff in this episode, which was kind of cool, but mostly it was just very extreme. Like, he was cutting up the dude's arm, and he's talking about like the top layers or the dullest layers, which is also insanely sensitive. Obviously, if you ever scratch yourself or cut yourself, for the top layer of skin to have the least nerves, that junk hurts. So I can only imagine what it's like with this guy with a scalpel, or not a scalpel, but like a razor, which is almost the same thing. Like honestly, those things are just as sharp as scalpels, pretty much. With him doing that, like just up and down your arm, cutting off itty bitty little layers, and he's talking about having precision and stuff. And we learn a little bit more about him as kind of like a bad character from his past, where he mentions when he was talking to his daughter in the past when they had to leave their home. He was like, I told her that we had to leave because bad things were happening, but the only thing I didn't tell her was what side I was on. So it made it seem like he was kind of one of the bad guys. He was, definitely torturing the dude in this episode, and it was just like, it's interesting to hear that from him, because it wasn't just he's coming from a standpoint of having been, fairly weak in the past, or having experienced what it's like to be weak, which he has, because he has stories from different points in his life. And I think this is just the second time of him being really tough, and the first time of him when he was like really weak was the time he was very young, when he mentions, I believe it was to Madison in the last episode, he mentions how he found the bodies of all those people from his village just in the water around him. That was the time, the only time really, when he was like the weaker character who didn't know or understand exactly what was happening. And after that, he changed and he became the Daniel that we know in the show. And he's tougher and he does crazy things. I don't think he needed to go as far to get those answers, but at the same time he kind of did, because the guy, it took forever for him to just say, what does Cobalt mean? And of course it's basically evac for all the military personnel. Like, let's get the heck out of here. See you later. Zombies, no. And they just take off. So it did take him a while to just admit that. And I would have been all over that, like, well, we're going to leave. If that's what that means. Please don't just start skinning me alive, because that never happened to me. But I can imagine it doesn't feel great. So I would have been talking super fast. But he's holding on to secrets. He's not telling them where the facility is. And this facility is basically just like a little prison camp. Like, they have people that are supposed to be getting help and stuff. People who are sick are actually taken care of. We got Daniel's wife. She unfortunately does pass away, and she gets officially put down because they use like the cattle piston gun on her in the end. But they also have Nick, and the opening to this episode was the weirdest thing ever. Like, the guy, Strand is his name, him talking to their neighbor who's kind of going crazy. I don't understand what his deal is. Like, I don't know what his plan is. He's like doing this stuff. He's working with the officer to, I don't know. Like, because we don't really know what the heck they did to the guy. Like, he was freaking out about his daughter and all this stuff, and his wife. So he basically kind of goes nuts. It's like, oh, I don't know what happened to him. And he gets taken away. And it's just like, what in the world is going on? Like, I don't understand what his plan is. And maybe his plan, because right now it was only the three of them. And now it's just Strand and Nick. So maybe his plan was, alright, he mentions he has a move or an idea. Well, who the heck knows? But maybe what his plan is to get out of there, and whoever was in his gate is who he was going to protect. And maybe he's going to bribe the officer again with something else that he has hidden, even though he said like his little cufflink was the last thing. Maybe that's what he's going to do, is bribe the guy, like, hey, let us out before you guys leave, because he probably has some information, and that's why that's probably how the guy got his watch to begin with, because he was asking questions and they were kind of making certain deals. And so he knows that, Cobalt is basically in action, is going to be in action really soon. So they're going to be taking off, and he's like, alright, I need, the strong people or people I consider to be strong in my gate. This guy who's freaking out and mentally unstable, let me manipulate him and freak him out so that the officers have a reason to take him away. And then, and he realized Nick was useful to him because of him being an addict. It's like, okay, he's an addict, but he's under control right now, but he knows kind of the struggle of being an addict and going through withdrawal and stuff like that. So he feels as though that is good for him to have on his side, and I guess that's his plan. We'll escape. I'll protect you because you're in my gate, and you'll protect me because of the same reason, I guess. I don't know, but weirdest opening ever. Like, when I saw that, I was just so confused. I was like, I don't understand why this man is a villain, but he is. I guess he instantly seemed like one, considering he made the guy freak out. And then when the military personnel came, he's just like, I don't know what happened to him. He just started freaking out like this. And I was like, what is going on? I was so confused in the beginning. It was the weirdest opening to me. Because he was just, like, manipulating the guy and breaking him down. And it was just, it seems so pointless. But we'll find out in the finale, like, what this guy is up to, what his plan is. It was just really weird. I'm like, okay, whatever. But it was kind of cool, but it was just really, really weird. Like, I don't understand why this is happening or who this guy really is. But he's got some plan for Nick. They'll be doing whatever. We have the military personnel leaving. I'm assuming they're officially going to be taking off in the finale, and then everyone's going to have to go in and rescue Nick and Liza. And unfortunately, not Mrs. Salazar anymore, because she did pass away. And she had some really interesting dialogue where she's talking about the devil and how she knows what she is, or what she has within her, and she sees what the devil is made of and stuff like that. And her dialogue really accompanied some of the stuff Daniel said, where he was like the bad guy in the past, or at least, maybe not the bad guy, but like he did some pretty messed up things for the good reasons. Or I should have said for the right reasons. But her dialogue seemed to really accompany that. Like, I know what I've done, and I've lived with it, and like she, of course knew what her husband was doing, and they already had their daughter at that time, so she knew what was going on. So it seemed like that's what her dialogue really was. Like, I accept what I have already accepted. I accept the fact that I stood by while my husband did certain things. I accept the fact that I was a part of some of these pretty bad things, even though I felt they were for the right reasons and stuff like that. So it was just really interesting to see that take place. And I was just like, it was a nice long scene too. Like, it was a lot of dialogue there, a lot of, I understand you, and I finally get you now, even though, and I've always accepted and understood myself, and all this dialogue. I was like, it really seems to accompany it without being blatant. Like, I help, or maybe not help, but I stood there and watched Daniel like kill people and torture people. It seemed like that's what it was hinting at, though, where she, of course, like I said, was married to the guy. They both knew what was going on in their village as far as who was good, who was bad, what bad needed to be done to result in the good. So I feel like that's what that dialogue was, even though it seemed like gibberish and it was just random sentences. I feel like that's what it was about, like her past and accepting the things that Daniel did, because she really did feel the same. Like, we have to go through this bad stuff, and it has to take place so that we can have a greater future, so we can even have a future in general. So I enjoyed that. It does suck to see her go, but I guess in a sense, at least it was calm. It seemed like, even though she was rambling and it seemed like she was talking to something that wasn't there, at least in a sense, it was somewhat peaceful, and that's much better than her officially turning into a zombie, which I think a lot of people expected. Once she broke her leg, I think we all knew that she would kind of go the way of a zombie, but at least in this sense, she did pass away, and she won't end up becoming that. It'll still be, of course, devastating to Daniel and his daughter, but at least it's somewhat peaceful. So there's definitely something to that. But I really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited for sure for this finale. I'm very curious about it. I have to check out the web series they're doing. If you guys don't know about this, they're doing a web series that's going to tie into season 2 of this show. And it involves the plane that we saw, which I think was in like episode 3 maybe. And they had a plane. It was just like a random shot of a plane going up, through the sky. That is important. So definitely check that out. I'll probably end up doing a review of that most likely after the finale, just because I won't have time to actually watch it before I end up heading out of town. So I probably won't get to actually see that. But if I do, I'll definitely do a review on it. I don't know if it's multiple episodes or if it's just like one set peace for however long. But I definitely recommend checking that out because it will tie into season 2, and there's supposed to be a survivor from this online series. It's called like Fear the Walking Dead Flight 467, I believe. So definitely check that out. I don't think it really matters if you check it out before the finale or anything like that because it takes place on a plane. So just know that that's pretty much where it is. It's on the plane during like that episode. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be multiple episodes or how that stuff is playing out. But definitely check it out. It's just another addition to this story. It's going to be whoever lives in that plane, at least some of them or one of them is going to be in season 2 of Fear the Walking Dead. So it is fairly important. You get a cool little backstory, mini little nice web series in closed space. So that's what kind of has me excited. It's zombies, on a plane, and it's someone sick and turning or having turned. I'm assuming, I don't actually know any of this for a fact, but I'm assuming with it being The Walking Dead, it's not just going to be people getting news. It could be. That would be interesting, actually. Just people getting news of some of the crazy zombie stuff happening. And I do believe that took place in like episode 3 or 4 when the main cast was inside of an official quarantine zone. So these people were already up in the air when things got crazy, and maybe that's just like a overnight flight, I guess. You could just play it around with it that way. But whatever it is, it seems pretty cool. I'm excited for the finale, like I said. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, though. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And what do you guys think is going to happen in this finale? I mean, we have Cobalt being said a bunch. So, of course, they're going to be leaving soon. If not just flat out in the finale, they're going to be taken off. And then we have our main characters who have to go and rescue what family they have left. They have to go get Liza, and they have to go get Nick. And they'll probably end up having the doctor. They might end up taking her along with her. She might become like a part of the main cast. But there's a lot of different stuff we got to see in this episode. Something I did skip over that I kind of forgot. The scene with Travis when he was going to the facility initially, and then basically the douchebag captain guy, he gets killed off, so he's not in it anymore. They also had the scene where he was being an ultra douche, where it's like, we're protecting you, and doing it as if they're doing so much stuff, just keeping them in the gates. He wants him to shoot this gun and stuff. The only thing I got out of that scene, I mean, it was a good scene. So one random thing I never heard before was the thing about the gun and the eyeball stuff. I had never heard that before in my life. So I was like, I don't know when I'd ever come across that specific sniper rifle, which I don't remember the name of or even 100% how it looks. But I remember to open your mouth because otherwise it could pop your eye straight out because of the pressure differential between, before you shoot the gun and after and it hits your eye. So that was just like something I never heard of before, and I was like, that's pretty insane. Never heard that. But I did enjoy that whole scene, but I don't know why that stood out more than anything, just that bit of knowledge. But I did enjoy that scene, and then this guy he gets killed off. A couple other people get killed off as well, some of the military personnel. And it was just crazy. It was like he was like, all right, let's get the heck out of here. Let's go see, the people in the facility. He doesn't want to kill the zombie because he's still in this state of mind where it's like he just can't do it. That's just his character. He's the guy who is in the 100% mindset of being a pacifist. He is the pacifist of the show. So it was a nice scene. Like, he still doesn't have it. We might see it in the finale. That might be the thing where we get to see him have to save someone and like kill a zombie or possibly even kill a human if it's a military guy coming up and they're of course just taking out all the humans that are there. Maybe we'll actually see that take place. I don't know, but could happen. And then there was also a scene with Alicia and Alex. I can't even remember the son's name at this point, but the two of them, I think it's Tommy maybe. I don't know. We got a bunch of different shows in my head, so I can't remember his name. But the scene with them was pretty cool, and they're in the house of like this richer, more well-to-do family, and then they're just like, we're in this weird situation, and then it's just like, let's get rid of some of this pent-up aggression and just smash a bunch of stuff. It was actually pretty interesting seeing them just kind of bonding over this crazy moment. Like, we are in a weird, crazy situation. Let's finally do something to just take our minds off of the madness and have a little fun. So it was definitely a good scene. I enjoyed that. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, and definitely what you guys want to see in the finale and what you're expecting in the finale as well. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.